we started.
We were basically just talking to ourselves, but now we're on, and I'll rerun it again. 35 degrees outside. It's the official temperature down in Lincoln. And look at highs in the 70s for the next 5 days. Hit the 80s when we get up to when we get into the weekend, and maybe a little chance of rain towards the tail end of the weekend. But for right now and today, it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, or that's what I'm saying. Now, we had some problems with audio last night. I'm still experiencing some of it, but it looks like we may be okay. Last night, I'm still experiencing some. There we go. We're getting the delay. That's what we wanted. So we are on. We are live, and glad to have you here with us. Don't know if you caught anything last night with Juju and I. Once we got on the air, we had two guests. We had Todd Starkey, who's the current women's basketball coach at Kent State. He was the women's basketball coach at Lenore-Ryan for a number of years.
Oh, yeah.
And it was funny. He came to Lenore-Ryan and was a tennis coach. That's how he got started. But he has done some really good things with Kent State. And both he and then after that we had Coach Doug Sosha, who's the head football coach, talked to him about the spring practice and what might be going on in the portal with him. And a couple of things that both of those guys talked about that I think are positive signs. And then Juju and I kind of summed it up last night. I just want to get your take. Both of those guys can't play in the NIL world, okay? And when they recruit, they're recruiting, Coach Starkey said, they're recruiting the fits that come, and they give honest evaluation to the players and their parents. And, you know, you're coming here, we're trying to build championships for the school. Some of the programs, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is, they're selling a different bag of goods. Calipari did it at Kentucky for so many years.
Yep.
It was an inroad to the NBA.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's going to do it in Arkansas.
Well, it'll be interesting to see.
He is. He's got the most NIL money in college basketball.
And he has no team, so he's got to go out there and get it.
Oh, he's going. That's not a problem.
But a couple of things came out of those conversations last night is, and I think it's a good sign for college athletics on some levels. You've got kids that are coming in that are doing a valid assessment of who they are, what they have to offer, and what their goals are.
Yep.
They're not coming in thinking it's the next step to the NBA or the NFL or wherever. They're coming in to play the sport that they love and to play for championships.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
Right.
Now, I always thought that the NIL thing will help some of the programs at the top level because they're already so different from other programs that they can't, the ones below can't catch up. And so I think you're starting to get this separation between the two. And I'm completely okay with it.
100%.
And I think it will work itself out over time. Morning, Andrew. I think it'll work itself out over time, especially when it comes to the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So Judy and I were talking last night, a number of kids that have really hit the transfer portal now, and I want to say 4 of them was from Lenore-Ryan, they're graduate students. They've played their 4 years. They're going to go try to do something somewhere else. And that's completely okay. To me, they fulfilled their obligation for being there.
And that's fine. You know, if they got that extra year, I don't like why any of them got it. You know, I think that opportunity has been taken away from so many younger people, right? You know, you don't see a lot of freshmen and even sophomores getting opportunities to play when they go to school. They're having to wait behind all the people that, well, I want to go here and play, or I'm going to transfer here because I was given an extra, 1 or 2 years because of, this over here. So, I really don't like all of that. Now, if a person, goes and plays their 4 years and they redshirted a year and they've graduated, then yeah, I understand that.
Well,
okay?
the other side of this,
like all this other stuff.
The other stuff, and Juju, it's basically down to math now. Juju's done the math. This should be the last year of that extra year. That should clear out after this year, this coming year.
Yeah, but it still has taken away opportunity.
It did.
Let's see. Ethan's a year older than Quinn, right? So, so Quinn graduated 23, 22. So basically starting from 21 until really 25. There's 4 years of disruption on people getting opportunities because, due to this whole thing, we're going to give these people an extra. No, they wanted 1 more year of people paying tuition because the enrollments are down and not as many. You say, well, they got 39,000 kids going to this school. Yeah, how many of them are online? They're not going there.
And the other thing is when you start talking about that, and this is something, and I made the reference last night, and it came from Marty Herney. Marty had a philosophy. The reason the Panthers didn't play in free agency very much is if the team you're on doesn't want you, why do we want you? If you don't want to stay with them, there's a problem somewhere.
Well, that's true, but you got to look at where they're coming from.
I know.
Okay.
I know. But I'm just saying that was his philosophy.
Hey, that's a great. That is good.
That was his philosophy. And the other thing is when we talked to Coach Socha last night, we talked about that a little bit, and he said, any of his kids that have hit the portal that want to play somewhere else, he wishes nothing but the best for.
Oh yeah,
because he wants kids that want to be there.
Right.
I mean, it's that simple.
Great. Yeah.
So I think the other thing that's happened, and the other point that he made, and we've said this a lot, there's going to be a ton of kids that are still in the portal when it's all over because nobody wants them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They would have been better off to stay where they were at, and I think that is the thing that's working itself out. Now, one more point that ties into this whole thing that Juju told me last night. He teaches middle school at Jacobs Ford. He said this year's 8th grade class has been the best class he has had.
I believe that.
Since he's been teaching. Now, let me tell you why he said so, and it goes back to the COVID thing. I'm sorry, not 8th grade. 8th grade's been terrible. 6th or 7th grade. Anyway, his principal said that in his experience of teaching, and I hope I get this story right, the window for socialization for kids is about 3rd grade to 5th grade. That's when they start making their own friends. They're not relying on mom and dad. Those 8th grade kids went through that 5th grade at home. No socialization. He said the kids that are now coming through that kind of went through that, but it's back to where it used to be, they get along. Not just with teachers, but they get along with each other.
Yes.
And it's because, and we talked about it, there was a big socialization thing that was missed that's also a part of education besides just the book learning.
Well, it's about the holistic approach
that's
to
right.
the child,
And
right?
everything.
Yeah.
So,
that's really cool.
You're seeing, you've got this hump that's good. It's just like a big gob of water when you've pinched the pipe. That water, that big wad's got to come through, but once it gets through, everything gets kind of get back to normal. So that's what's happening now, and I think that's what's going to happen with the portal. That's what's going to happen to the portal. Once we get that clear, everything's going to be like it was. The NIL and the transfer portal, those were new, big, bright, shiny toys, and everybody thought that's my next fortune right there. This is my ticket to get whatever I want to get. They're finding out that it's not, and you've got coaches that are still now. Coach Socha, it's not that he won't go to the portal, but he's going to the portal if he can't find anything to fit a need that he has because somebody left. And I get that.
That's
I like it for that part. But at the same time, he wants to recruit, groom, and teach and coach kids that are local and have been brought in from the beginning. And so
great.
all of that is starting to come back around to where it used to be. I made the comment right after I got started doing sports radio. I had Coach Ford on, and we were talking, and my first question to him was, when and how did this change, and how did I miss it? When I went to college in 1978, the NFL was everybody's dream, but all I wanted in 1978 was to become a starter and play for a championship at Clemson. I just wanted to be at Clemson my 4 years and play every year. That's not what's happening now, but it's starting to get back to that because we saw it in the NCAA tournament. The teams that are winning and being successful have years of maturity, older players, continuity on any level. Don't care what level it's on. So I think it's going to work itself out. I think the disruption that we've seen is going to level back out like everything does. It's cyclical. But I still think you're going to have some separation from the big players that are going to go do their own thing, and I'm okay with that. Go do that. I'll select what I want to watch and do. But I think for the majority of teams and sports, it's going to come back to the way it used to be, and that is wanting to be a college athlete.
Yeah, no, those are really good points. I think two things. Number one, you don't know what you got till it's gone, and so that's kind of the point with what Gigi was making with the young people. It doesn't matter really the age. It just matters about, well, did I have the opportunity to do this? And for so many years in public and private schools, we've had opportunities to develop friendships, relationships, and maybe when I say we, I'm talking third person. We as students, teachers, administrators, whatever, maybe chose not to deepen those as much as we see now that we could have, and to take advantage of those for the benefit of, right, and for the growth of, instead of just trying to get through. And so what everybody found out during COVID was, wait a minute, I've had a lot of these opportunities taken away from me, right? And, and then it reverts back on, how was it handled at home? Was I taught to think for myself, or was I taught to be immediately compliant no matter what? Or was there a mix of things? Right, when you go, and remember, I'm not criticizing. I'm just making a point here. Okay, people are who they are, and they believe what they believe, and that's okay. That gives you. It's called the Constitution, right? And the Bill of Rights. You can do whatever you can think, whatever you want to say, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else, right?
Right.
So, there's a lot that goes into this, right? And I think the second thing is we learn that the grass is not always greener. Right, so two things, and I talked to my two children about this, and Quinn at Mars Hill, now he's playing college ball. He's a freshman, he's got to play some, okay, and that's good. Not as much obviously as he'd want to, but look, he's got 9 seniors in front of him, okay. I mean, that's hard, and 6 of them transferred in, okay. And what I told him, I said, son, there's 2 things that determine whether or not you need to enter a portal. He's like, well, I'm not leaving. I said, no. I said, we're having a discussion here about just the portal in general, because I think it's a misused tool. I said, number 1, is the environment good where you are? Is it healthy? If the answer is yes, so far you're good. Number 2, and most importantly, are you getting an opportunity? Do you feel you're getting an opportunity, or things on the up and up where you have the opportunity to compete and opportunity to play, and it's on you and your performance and your dedication, not on, well, I'm just playing these guys over here because of this. If you can answer yes to both of those, then why would you want to go anywhere else, right? You want to stay there and compete and work your way through, so it teaches you when you're a husband and father, or in, ladies' part, mom, that kind of thing, wife. When things get tough, I'm just not going to go out to the portal. I'm going to take care of my children. I'm going to take care of, my marriage, or, whatever situation you got, right? I'm going to do those things. And that's what perseverance helps you do. That's why sports are so important. The problem is that when we get people that are in charge of them, a lot of times they don't make the rules tough enough to adhere to those, I wouldn't say moral issues or moral challenges, right? Where, this is the things you need to do to make yourself better. But, we've kind of skewed away in a society where people, well, I'm not going to go down that road, but what happens is things will always tend to work themselves, like you said, back out, and they go cyclical when in doing the right thing for right reasons. Okay, we go through things, and we go through all these, new ideas, and like you said, the new shiny object, the portal. How many players, male and female, enter the portal and don't get picked up? A whole lot more than do get picked up. And what that tells you is you are where you're supposed to be in most cases. Now you just need to put your head down and go to work. Stop crying about it.
Well,
okay?
It
is what it is.
The other thing that's going to happen, and I think this is where everything starts to separate out and get back to normal. You're going to have kids that are coming out of high school that are going to know the programs they're looking at, what their philosophy is.
Right, absolutely.
Are we built through the portal regardless of what I bring in to win?
And if you know that,
or am I going to a program that wants to home grow and bring the kids up? Not to say that they won't fill in some pieces, but that's not the major philosophy. The major philosophy is to bring you in, and that's where the kid has to make a self-evaluation. of where they are and what they want.
And this is why it's so important. If you have a calculator, not your cell phone, I want you to put a calculator beside your cell phone here in about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to show you why. All right, analytics, all right, are sometimes not the best way to go through things, and why human interaction and touch is so much more important than modern technology. This is why relationships matter. I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, okay? So if you've got one, if you're listening or watching, you got you got your cell phone, put it on the calculator, but then also get a standard calculator, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, because there's different ways to look at things, all right? And what you have to do is you have to lead in truth when you do that. Okay?
Well, a couple of comments came in. Andrew said, I agree, as the bubble clears, I wouldn't be shocked if we begin to hear athletes start talking about how bad the portal has hurt.
Yeah, 100%.
More careers than helped it. But you know what?
100%,
you know what?
Thank you.
That was their decision. Nobody forced you into
But the
that.
adults, okay, let me do this, Lenny, and I'm going to get on quick soapbox and I'm going to let it go. The adults are in charge. Okay?
Understand.
That's the problem. You only know what you know. And when you're that age, I mean, really our whole lives we need help and guidance and reflection, you know, more than do this, do that, right? But this is the problem, all right? We're trying to make everything too friggin' easy, right? You know, you have to go through trials and tribulations and difficulties along with, you know, some of the successes you have to create the holistic, you know, person so you can continue to be the best you can be and reevaluate, adjust, modify, all these things. It's so hard to know that when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 because you still are learning about life. You go in that phase, well, I know more than my parents know. You know, I realized when I was 19 years old, my dad's the smartest guy on the planet. From 14 to 19, I was like, that guy's a freaking, you know, you know, just like every, you know, kid wants to, well, are you sure about that? Or really? You know, why would somebody with no life experience sit there and because you only know what you know, and you have to go through that.
Well, the other thing that you talk about all the time, one of the things that may be a positive out of this, but it's going to hurt, is some of these kids are going to have to face up, and or parents or whoever advised them, that they didn't really make the right decision. They didn't do a fair self-evaluation.
And that's good to go back and understand that because the object is bright and shiny, there's a reason it's shiny, is to lure you. That's why you throw a shiner, a spinner bait, you know, in the water for a fish. It ain't for their benefit, it's for, you know, for somebody else's, like NIL money. Okay, well, that's helping these kids out. You don't think these people giving that money are getting their back scratched in another way? You think they're actually going to dole out, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and not get it in return just because I want my university to do good? Are you freaking kidding me?
That's not
really?
The way it works.
If you believe that, I have oceanfront property on Main Street. All right, right across from the lab. All right, it's got a beautiful view of the sunset and the sun up, especially in the summer. They both come up on Main Street. The ocean water feels really good. All right, it does. It's great. It's 78 degrees year round. Right there on Main Street. Okay, figure it out, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Andrew said basically begin to police themselves. And Milton, key phrase here, personal responsibility, hard thing to accept.
And that's okay. We all go through that. And every generation has. It's just done differently, and because of technology and capabilities, we're experiencing things differently. Okay? All right, now, if you got a calculator, all right, at home, all right, I want you to do this on the cell phone first. All right, you got both. Okay, do this on your cell phone. You ready? 50 plus 50 times 2. What does your cell phone say?
Wait a minute.
50 plus 50 times 2.
Why can't I find? There it is.
50 plus 50
plus 50
times 2.
Times 2.
What does it say?
150.
Okay. Now, Andrew, I know you got your calculator. Do it on your calculator. 50 plus 50 times 2. What does that tell you in your calculator? What does it tell you? It tells you 200. Okay? 200. Now, the whole point of this, the calculator is going by order of operation, or excuse me, the cell phone's going by order of operation because multiplication is supposed to be before division or before addition and subtraction. All right, but in reality, when you're working with relationships, all right, it's not about, You know, it's not about going through those factors, right? Because you have building steps in relationships. That's why you have to trust your calculator more than you do your cell phone. And again, all right, analytics and algorithms are great, but they can be skewed to operational order, which means in the order of what the provider wants you to believe, okay, instead of what is truth. 50 plus 50 is what? 100. It's 100.
Yeah.
And you multiply it by 2, what is that?
It's 200.
Right, but what does your cell phone tell you?
But
it's 150 because it's going order of operation. It wants to do it in its order instead of telling you as a human being and what is true. I said to you first, what is 50 plus 50?
It's 100.
And you put it in. And then I said times 2. All right, that is why this is the simplest yet one of the most in-depth examples of why, you know, order of operation in human relationships are more important than order of operation through technology. Okay, I'm not saying this is lying or whatever, but that's the point. All right, that's it.
Let me get one more comment from Rich before we take a break. Case in point, I was reading about a player being recruited out of the portal, and he was talking to a coaching staff. All of a sudden, the kid ghosted the coaches and was going to commit to a program that he hadn't really talked to the coaches or visited because there was a big bag being dropped. Once he got on campus, he found out that the bag wasn't there, and neither was the playing time. He reached back out to the previous coaching staff, and they did not want to talk to him because of his previous actions. That because of what he did, that's telling you what he's going to do when it comes to playing time and decisions he has to make on the field. He's not making good decisions. He's doing what looks the easiest and the most beneficial to him instead of looking at the whole picture. And if I was a coaching staff, I wouldn't have talked to him either.
Think of it like this. In life, and again, these are young people, okay? So the adults in charge of that other program need to at least understand that and say, look, this is why we're not interested in talking to you anymore. No, don't contact us. You know, that number one, that player got bad advice, all right? And they were only thinking about right now, which is what we do with how many clicks we can get right now, right? I think, you know, in helping young people, we should always teach them to strive for a life of significance instead of success, because success can come and go. Significance tends to be the longer lasting one because there's more investment put into it, not just time, but in the effort and quality and value in which you seek, right? And so that is why it's most important to not go out and say, well, I'm going to play the best player, I'm going to play the fastest player, you have to play the most prepared player, because in the Navy SEAL chart, like and I wear this out, but they go for the highest possible integrity of the person, and then they help enhance the athleticism of the SEAL.
You can't teach that.
And that's what I'm saying. You can help develop it and continue it, but it has to be. It's not really innate, but it's
kind of is. It's got to be who the thread of your the fabric of your
heart, your mind, your heart and mind,
your
your soul, those kind of things. But Laney, there's so much more out there that is out there for these young people to grasp a hold of instead of the shiny object. But we all, I'll be hypocritical if I told you I never went after the shiny object. But we learn that there's a reason it shines, okay? And, sometimes, not going through the shiny object tends to lead to more significance down the road instead of instant success, like the kid transferring out of Duke. Why would he do that? Why would he leave? To make headlines, to get clicks, to social media profile. There's no reason to leave John Shire, or a program like that. Now, I say I don't know. I'm just giving an example. Right. There may be something there. Shire may have encouraged. I don't know that. I'm just giving an example. But in today's world, why would you do that with all the benefits through relationships and the things that you can bring to the table, but then you just receive, without even asking, right? I mean, what in the world?
Let me take a break, and I'm going to tell you something that Coach Socia said that's along that same line that is dead on. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. At Stifel Nicholas, we're committed to offering investors personalized investment guidance. We're a full-service organization with department staffed with professionals that specialize in a wide range of investment opportunities, from the most conservative to the most aggressive. We strive to give each account, regardless of size, careful, individual attention. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange. All right, let's get back at it. Welcome back.
Do number 2, baby.
All right, I'm going to, undoubtedly there has a question or a comment come in from my wife. Let me go ahead and make sure I get to that. Attaboy. Okay.
It's 8 o'clock somewhere.
All right, now here is my wife's comment. And good morning, honey. Wow, that was impressive, 4Rembert. Most of the kids don't even know what a calculator not on a phone is, and they follow it religiously.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fun. And then my wife says, so, honey, are you rethinking about your hardness towards Dabo, about him being fair to those kids who stays with him instead of using the portal? Well, I can tell you this, and I can just tell you from one position, and then Andrew's going to jump in here too. I can always see that coming. He was such a good recruiter, and they had such unlimited I don't want to say funds, but resources to bring kids in.
Of course.
He would bring kids in and over-recruit certain positions.
Yeah.
Twofold.
Yeah.
To make sure that he had one that would work out, and then the others would just have to call themselves out, or he didn't want them going somewhere else. Now, I want to go back to the point. I've loosened up on Dabo a little bit, but he still if he wants to play with the big boys, he's got to play by the big boy rules. If he wants to play by being a collegiate program, then he can't play up here with these guys, because that's not how they're doing it. They're doing it within the rules, but that's not how they're doing it. Yeah. A comment that you made and a comment that Coach Socha said last night, he's got, I think I told you, he's got 4 kids that went into the portal. Juju said they were all seniors.
Yep.
And the thing that he tried to stress to them is And this comes from that self-evaluation of knowing you're not Kyle Duggar. You're probably not going to be the highest paid safety coming out of of Lenore Ryan. There's been, I think Juju said, been 10 players played in the NFL in the history.
Right.
Okay. So Coach Sosha made a point that don't forget about the relationships you've cultivated here, the connections you've cultivated, the networking for future careers with people that are LR alums, those kind of things.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that you've got to concentrate
100%.
on. Because especially when you talk basketball, you may have 30 people, 30 guys that make the NBA. They only draft 60, and very few in the second round make it, and not all of them in the first round make it.
Yeah.
So when that number is so small, you got to think about the other things that you're building during that college career, because eventually you're going to have to get a JOB. And so I don't think, I think Calipari, when he was at Kentucky, his point of emphasis was, I can get you to the league. Coaches that are understanding championships and are very are more realistic, I can get you educated and make you a contributing member of society so that you can take care of yourself for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of kids at that age don't want to hear that, and it's because they haven't gotten a fair evaluation from their parents or their handlers or whoever their group is that supports them. So you got to be honest with them, but they have to be willing to take an honest look at who they are. And if they can't, they're probably not going to make it anyway. Well, kids that bounce around in the portal, they're going to bounce around in jobs.
They are. It's jonesing. I mean, it's like everything you see, every weekend. If you follow anybody between the age of, 20 and 40, they're off celebrating, the destination wedding in the Caribbean or down in Mexico, or all this of, celebrating so-and-so and their happy life. I mean, eventually the chickens come home to roost. Unless you, win the lottery, you're going to be working the rest of your life. There is no retirement, because you're living it now, right? And I think that's, one of the, things in the world in which we're living in now, this transition to with, everything, in real life, real time, those kind of things that, everything's about the right now, instead of going to your parents' house and open up the 1980, 85, 78, whatever album that you have and looking through pictures over a 10-year period in one album. Now you got a whole album filled up in one day, celebrating the toast and I'm out here on the beach, and all this stuff. I mean, all that's great, but in reality there's two things. Number one, nobody cares. All right? They don't. And because they have stuff they've got to worry about.
Right.
And number two, there's a yin and yang. It's not always the yin. The yang's coming. Now, does that mean you shouldn't go do things and do – that's not what I'm saying. But everything has appeared to be bright and shiny is what I'm getting at, like you had said. And that's not the reality. People say, I just want you to be happy. I never tell my kids that. I want them to be joyful, because happy is a temporary emotion. It's temporary feeling. Don't be happy. Be joyful, because there's going to be times during your day or during your week you're going to be sad. You're going to be upset. You're going to be excited. You're going to be happy about things. Hey, be joyful, right? That way you're not riding emotional highs and lows all the time and being reactionary to everything. You're taking life as it comes, making adjustments as you need to, and trying to make things better and help other people.
I've always said you need to be content but never satisfied.
Never satisfied.
Because once you get there, there's nothing left but disappointment.
Well, as soon as you get comfortable and satisfied, you start dying. And I mean literally dying. Okay, so, it's one of those things where, you push yourself as a person, well, I don't want to take all these risks. Well, I'm not saying you should step out in front of vehicles, but what I'm saying is, it was in there. What I'm saying is, there has to be calculated risk, right? Like, my kids don't wear helmets when they ride bikes unless they're out on, like, the highway or pavement, right? If they're in the yard and they put a helmet on, they better not, because I want them to know that, being stupid, you're going to get your head cracked.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can't leave that up to a kid to do that. Listen. Lanny's still here and I'm still here, and I'm the kid that had the taped on tassels that came off the bike because I didn't have the bike that had them. So I found some and taped them off the streamers, right? And I'm the guy that's going down the hill 40 miles an hour and hitting making the ramp at the bottom. Everybody's screaming, you can do it. Go. The other one's over here, he'll never do that. That's the ones I like. Because anytime I hear, oh, you can never do that, I'm hell bent on doing it.
And
Okay.
there's some of that, but they're not
we
handling
survived.
it the right way.
We survived,
that's
right? And that the whole point is you learn. You live and learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's so much of this. Oh, it's so much better on the other side. Sometimes you need to water your own grass. Now, again, if the environment's not good and you're not getting an opportunity, you got to get out of there.
We talked about
not
that.
Healthy.
We talked about that last night, and the thing that you have to understand, and you make this point all the time. The successes you have don't make you.
Yeah.
The failures that you have and how you handle them is what makes you. So if you don't come across any of those adversities,
that's a great point.
There are always going to be adversity. So you have got to make sure that you handle them. You need
that's a great point. There's so many things that we hear in the world, like money's the root of all evil. That's not true. Money makes the world go round. There's so many great things to help people say, well, so-and-so got a bunch of money. You see how he really is. No, money doesn't change a person. It reveals who they really were and are.
Right.
Okay? Just like on the flip side, poverty does. Losing everything reveals who you really are, all right, and how you come back and how you want to structure yourself back from it, right? There's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be failures, massive, whatever. But the point of all this is, with the portal, is creating an opportunity to not have to be accountable and to not have to stick to what you're doing. It's for the benefit of the larger places that provide money in placement of opportunity, right? You have to work
instant
your
gratification.
way. Well, it is. You have to work your way through it. I have no problem with people improving themselves. That's why I don't like our tax system, in our country. I don't like it. When I was working in the school system, starting off, working, like as a teacher assistant and, driving buses and making $400 for coaching a whole season of JV basketball and all these things. And then in life, our professions or our jobs, we may increase our income. And all of a sudden they want to take more for being, self-improvement. That's ridiculous.
I've always said that.
Because, I'm sitting there coaching, I'm sitting there teaching. I say teaching, being a teacher assistant, but basically doing it. Okay, and I'm bringing less than $800 home, like $740 a month. It's crazy.
Tax.
I mean, and you say, yeah, but that was 30 years ago. Well, listen, back it up. Okay, so let's say $1,600 a month today. Where are you going to buy? Where are you going to rent somewhere?
Somebody,
you see what I'm saying?
Somebody's talk about how does somebody that makes $30,000 a year live and pay their bills?
They can't.
And stay? Yeah.
They can't.
The thing of it is,
without getting assistance.
The thing that I have said all along when it comes to that, and I'll get off of this and we'll go because you got to go.
Yeah, I got to roll.
I have never felt that you should be taxed for earning because it discourages you from earning. You should be taxed for what you spend. Then the guy that makes $10, he pays the same amount of tax for what he buys as the man that makes $100 million. He pays tax on what he buys.
Well,
the more you make, the more they get, and there's something wrong with that equation.
Politics. The only reason that we don't have either a VAT tax or flat tax is because politicians have to keep things moving. They have to stay engaged in issues to stay relevant in our lives. Right. The problem is for them is when you have people like me that have tuned them out. It's ridiculous. I'm not spending all my time worried about what Joe Biden or Donald Trump say. I don't care. I watch what they do. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they say it. Right? Sticks and stones, right? Words, who cares?
You got to.
Let's look at what they – no, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about all –
right.
All politicians. There are many that were well-spoken, like President Obama, Ronald Reagan, okay? Great leaders – for our country, okay? People may not agree with policies or whatever, but they were oratorical and were leading through that. But what you have to do is you have to watch what they do and listen. You can listen to what they say, but you got to watch what they do. And you can't, when they start doing what they said they were going to do, you can't get mad at them.
That's right.
I remember there's a lot of people that voted for President Obama, and he said, we're going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. Well, when he started doing it, There were people like, I can't believe he's doing this. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, hold on a minute.
It's different when you don't know what he's doing.
Listen, he told you.
Yeah.
He told you what he was going to do. But you want to talk about slogans instead of listening to what he said he was going to do. All right? And then you watch him do it. He backed it up.
Yeah.
There's very few of them that back it up.
Yeah.
But if you listen to what they say and then you watch what they do and they mirror up, then it gives you a little bit clearer mind instead of just saying, oh, when they start talking about what the other one's going to do or not going to do, there's problems.
Yeah.
And I don't care what level it's on, state, local,
yeah.
National. And I'm just using those two as examples. Just Ronald Reagan said, when he came in, he was going to, help transform economics and try to get things, back in line, inflation down. It was going to take a while, right? Okay. He said he was going to do it. Guess what?
Yep.
Put Art Laffer to work, and guess what?
Now,
it worked.
To piggyback off of that, and we'll close it out, here's the deal. The person you are is the way you handle and react to things when there's nobody around.
That's what you do when nobody's watching.
What you do when nobody's watching, that determines who you are.
Watch Jim Valvano's speech. Every day you do three things, right? And he's right. It's okay to be emotional, about individual situations. But do that in your own regard. So it allows you to reflect and feel so you can be human in this spiritual body, right? To help others, right? We're not human beings in spiritual form. We're spiritual beings in human form.
That's
right?
correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so
there is a difference.
There is. And eventually these things will work themselves out. But we have to talk through them. And I'm probably more critical, than most people that would come on the show and talk about things because – I'm always trying to find a way, where's the truth in this, right? Even if I'm wrong, I'll reverse course, say, I was wrong about that. This is it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm always trying to find truth. And the way I do it is not through, spreading fairy dust everywhere, or sprinkling it, right? It's attacking the issues and talking about things and trying to figure out where's the benefit to the ones that we're supposed to be serving instead of to ourselves, And that's the whole point.
All right, have a good day. I got to get him out. He's got to close it. See you guys.